What if I told you that while most of the crypto market is distracted, something historic is quietly happening for XRP holders? What if I told you that over 100 million XRP has already moved into a DeFi ecosystem that barely just started? And what if the real opportunity isn't just holding XRP, but activating it? Welcome back to We Are Cosmic. If you're new here, this is the channel where we break down crypto the smart way. No hype, no noise, just clear analysis so you can stay ahead of the market. If you hold XRP, if you're watching institutional adoption, or if you care about where real utility is going, this video is extremely important for you. Today we're talking about something serious. There's growing tension inside the XRP community. Hugo Fillion, the CEO of Flare Networks, recently mentioned that he's seeing disharmony in the XRP ecosystem. That's surprising, because from a fundamentals perspective, there is massive reason for optimism right now. So what's really happening? Let's start with the headline. Over 100 million FXRP has been minted on Flare. That is not small. That is history in the making. Now, if you're new, let me simplify this. XRP by itself is extremely fast and efficient for payments. It settles transactions in seconds. That's why institutions and banks take it seriously. It was built for cross-border settlement. But XRP does not natively support smart contracts like Ethereum. That's where Flare enters. Flare created something called FXRP. Think of FXRP as XRP that becomes programmable. It allows XRP to participate in DeFi, lending, borrowing, liquidity pools, yield farming, all the things people normally associate with Ethereum. And here's why that matters. When XRP is minted into FXRP, it creates demand inside the Flare ecosystem. It increases transaction volume. It generates fees. It strengthens liquidity. It attracts more collateral providers that creates a feedback loop. More XRP enters, more utility, more liquidity, stronger ecosystem, more incentive for XRP holders to participate. That's not speculation, that's structural growth. And Hugo made something very clear. Other chains are not going to build infrastructure specifically for XRP. Why would they? Their priority is their own token. Flare is different. Flare is building an end-to-end ecosystem focused on unlocking non-smart contract assets like XRP, Bitcoin, and Doge into DeFi in a trustless way. And that word matters, trustless. Most bridges in crypto rely on custodians or multi-signature wallets. That introduces risk. We've seen bridges get hacked repeatedly over the years. Flare's system is designed to be over-collateralized and secured on-chain. That reduces reliance on centralized middlemen. Now here's where things get interesting. Hugo pointed out something important. This development didn't happen overnight. The airdrop lasted 3 years. The team has been building for nearly 5 years. This isn't a quick experiment. This is long-term infrastructure. And if you zoom out, what's the bigger picture? XRP has always been about institutional settlement. Ripple sits at the table with banks and governments. Flare extends XRP into programmable finance. That combination is powerful. Think about it like this. If XRP is the settlement rail, Flare is the engine that adds financial applications on top. And here's why this matters to you as an investor. Most XRP holders are waiting for price appreciation. But what if, instead of just waiting, you could earn yield while holding? Imagine XRP eventually reaches higher valuations. Instead of selling, you mint FXRP and earn 5 to 6% yield. Over time, that passive income could become meaningful. That's the shift. From speculation to utility, from holding to activating, from waiting to earning. And this is why I believe the disharmony inside the XRP community is misplaced. Because fundamentally, we are watching infrastructure being built. Infrastructure is boring. In the early stages, it's not flashy, it doesn't pump overnight, but infrastructure is what institutions care about. And when you see 100 million FXRP minted this early, that's signal, not noise. In the next part, we're going deeper into how Flare's trustless design actually works, why it claims to be safer than traditional bridges, and what this means for long-term XRP holders. Stay with me. Why is Flare different from other blockchains? And why does Hugo believe other ecosystems won't build this kind of infrastructure for XRP? Let's start with the biggest problem in crypto today: bridges and trust. When you move assets like Bitcoin or XRP into DeFi ecosystems, most networks use what we call custodial bridges. That means someone is holding your real asset somewhere, and they give you a wrapped version to use on another chain. The issue? If that custodian gets hacked, your funds are at risk. We've seen billions of dollars lost in bridge hacks across the industry, and this is exactly what Flare is trying to solve. Flare's F-asset system, including FXRP, is designed to be over-collateralized and secured fully on-chain. That means there isn't a small group controlling your assets. There's no centralized middleman holding the keys. Instead, the system uses smart contracts and collateral providers to secure the value. In simple words, it removes trust in humans and replaces it with code and economic incentives. That's very important for institutions. Now let's talk about something even more powerful: data. Most smart contract platforms rely on external Oracle services to feed real-world data into the blockchain. These oracles can sometimes become centralized or manipulated. Flare built its own decentralized Oracle system called FTSO, Flare Time Series Oracle. It also uses something called the State Connector. What does that mean for you? It means Flare can securely pull data from other chains and even Web 2 sources without relying on a single centralized provider. That reduces manipulation risk, it increases transparency, and it strengthens DeFi applications built on top of it. Now let's zoom out. Hugo said something very bold. Other chains are not going to work hard to create an ecosystem for XRP. And honestly, that makes sense. Ethereum developers focus on ETH. Solana developers focus on SOL. Avalanche focuses on AVAX. But Flare's strategy is different. Flare focuses on unlocking value for assets that do not have smart contract functionality, especially XRP. That focus is strategic, because XRP already has massive liquidity and a very strong community. If even a small percentage of XRP holders activate their tokens into DeFi, the growth potential is huge. Now let's connect this to something very important: institutional relevance. We know Ripple has strong relationships with banks and payment providers. Ripple has always positioned XRP as a bridge asset for cross-border payments. And Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, has openly supported Flare as a separate but complementary ecosystem. He explained it simply: XRP provides extremely fast settlement. Flare adds smart contracts and expanded utility. Think of it like combining the speed of XRP with the programmability of Ethereum. That is powerful. Now let's talk about yield. One of the biggest shifts in crypto over the last few years has been moving from number go up mentality to yield generation. If you can earn 5%, 6%, or even 10% annually on your assets, that changes your strategy. Instead of selling XRP when it rises, you might choose to mint FXRP, provide liquidity, stake FLR, earn passive income. Flare staking currently shows double-digit APY levels in certain programs. Of course, APY changes and you must always do your own research. But the concept is important. Idle capital becomes productive capital. And this is something traditional finance understands very well. Now let's address something psychological. Why is there disharmony in the XRP community? Because some people want instant price action. They don't care about infrastructure. They don't care about slow ecosystem growth. But serious investors understand something. Price follows utility long term. If XRP becomes programmable, if it gains DeFi adoption, if liquidity grows, if cross-chain interoperability expands, then price appreciation has stronger fundamentals behind it. Flare is not competing with XRP. Flare is extending XRP. That's a key mindset shift. And when you see metrics like TVL growing aggressively, HE, daily transactions increasing, wallet addresses expanding, stablecoin market cap rising sharply, those are signs of ecosystem traction. It's still early. But early infrastructure phases are where asymmetric opportunities exist. What if I told you that while most of the crypto market is distracted, something historic is quietly happening for XRP holders? Over 100 million XRP has already been minted into a DeFi ecosystem that has just begun. And the real opportunity isn't just holding XRP, it's activating it. Welcome back to We Are Cosmic. This is the channel where we break down crypto smartly, no hype, no noise, so you can stay ahead. If you hold XRP, watch institutional adoption, or care about real utility, this video is extremely important. Here's the big picture. Hugo Fillion, CEO of Flare Networks, recently noted disharmony in the XRP community. But from a fundamentals perspective, there's massive reason for optimism. Over 100 million FXRP has been minted on Flare. If you're new to this, think of FXRP as XRP that becomes programmable. XRP is already fast and efficient for payments and settlements, but it doesn't support smart contracts. Flare changes that. FXRP allows XRP holders to participate in DeFi, lending, borrowing, liquidity pools, yield farming, just like Ethereum. When XRP is minted into FXRP, it creates demand inside the Flare ecosystem, increases transaction volume, generates fees, strengthens liquidity, and attracts collateral providers. This creates a feedback loop. More XRP enters, more utility, stronger ecosystem, higher incentives for holders. Hugo emphasized something crucial. Other chains won't build infrastructure specifically for XRP. Ethereum focuses on ETH, Solana on SOL, and Avalanche on AVAX. Only Flare has built a full ecosystem focused on unlocking value for XRP and other non-smart contract assets. Flare's system is trustless, meaning you don't rely on centralized custodians or multi-signature wallets. Most bridges today are vulnerable to hacks, but Flare's F-asset system secures assets fully on-chain. It's over-collateralized, decentralized, and reduces reliance on humans. Flare also built its own decentralized Oracle system, FTSO plus State Connector, which securely pulls external data without centralization or manipulation risk. Why does this matter? XRP already has massive liquidity and a strong community. If a portion of holders activates their tokens into FXRP, the growth potential is huge. Combined with Ripple's institutional relationships, XRP becomes more than a settlement rail. It gains real programmable utility through Flare. Brad Garlinghouse highlighted this synergy. XRP provides fast settlement, Flare adds smart contracts. Speed meets programmability, creating a powerful combination. Yield is another factor. The crypto space is shifting from number go up to productive capital. With FXRP and Flare staking, holders can earn 5 to 6% APY, sometimes higher, turning idle XRP into income-generating assets. Disharmony in the XRP community mostly comes from impatience. People want instant price action, but serious investors know that price follows utility. As DeFi adoption grows, liquidity expands, and cross-chain functionality increases, price appreciation will have stronger fundamentals. Flare doesn't compete with XRP, it extends it. And metrics back this up. TVL growth, daily transaction increases, wallet expansion, and stablecoin market cap surges all show ecosystem traction. Infrastructure takes time, but early phases create asymmetric opportunities. By activating XRP through FXRP and staking in Flare, holders are participating in the long-term development of a powerful DeFi ecosystem. Now let's get into the numbers, because numbers tell the real story behind the hype. If we look at Flare's growth metrics, the ecosystem is not just growing, it's exploding. Total value locked TVL in the network jumped 410% year over year, and DEX liquidity grew 152%, which means more XRP and other assets are actively being used in decentralized exchanges. Daily transactions are averaging 490,000, and there are over 1.4 million wallet addresses interacting with Flare. The stablecoin market alone saw an increase of 1,600% in a single week. These numbers show that Flare isn't just theory, it's real usage, real adoption, and real money moving on-chain. So what does this mean for you as an XRP holder? First, it proves that the ecosystem is functional. FXRP isn't just a wrapped token, it's unlocking XRP liquidity in DeFi safely. You can lend, borrow, provide liquidity, and earn yield without leaving your XRP behind. This is a major shift from the old model of just holding tokens and hoping for price appreciation. Now your assets can work for you. Hugo and his team have built infrastructure that allows trustless participation. Unlike other networks that require you to trust custodians, multi-signature setups, or centralized services, Flare is fully on-chain, over-collateralized, and secure. It uses smart contracts, enriched oracles, and the state connector to ensure data integrity. In simple terms, your transactions are safe, your DeFi activities are reliable, and the ecosystem can scale without relying on humans. That's institutional-grade security applied to retail investors. Now let's talk about smart accounts, because this is a game changer. Soon, XRP holders will be able to use their existing XRP addresses to directly interact with Flare. That means you can execute transactions on Flare using the XRP ledger itself. No new accounts, no complicated setup. It's simple, user-friendly, and bridges the two ecosystems seamlessly. Smart accounts make it easy to put your XRP to work in DeFi while maintaining security and transparency. And the bigger picture, Flare is creating multiple yield streams for holders. You're not limited to staking FLR or FXRP. You can earn AMM fees, participate in liquidity pools, and benefit from protocol revenue. When combined, these yield streams make holding and activating XRP far more productive than leaving it idle. For anyone serious about long-term strategy, this is fundamentally different from the usual buy and hold mentality. We can also see this momentum in Flare's partnerships and growth. Their network has integrated with Axelar for cross-chain liquidity, enabling true interoperability across DeFi platforms. Programs like STF Flare incentivize staking with attractive APYs, sometimes in double digits, allowing holders to earn real passive income. These are not promises, they are metrics you can verify. And as more FXRP is minted, demand and liquidity naturally increase, creating a cycle of growth that strengthens the ecosystem further. Another important point, Flare's F-asset system extends beyond XRP. Assets like Bitcoin and Doge can also enter DeFi safely through Flare's trustless infrastructure. This is unique in the industry because no other Layer 1 is focusing on unlocking non-smart contract assets in such a secure, decentralized way. While Ethereum, Solana, or Avalanche prioritize their own tokens, Flare is asset agnostic in its mission, which strategically positions it as a hub for multiple communities. Now, why does this matter long term? Because price follows utility. You can't force adoption, it has to happen naturally. Metrics like wallet growth, TVL increase, transaction volume, and stablecoin activity are leading indicators of ecosystem strength. As adoption grows, liquidity deepens, and yield opportunities expand, the market will start valuing XRP differently. This is the subtle but powerful shift that early adopters and smart investors understand. You get exposure to growth before the broader market notices. Now that we understand the infrastructure and adoption metrics, let's talk about the real opportunities for XRP holders in the Flare ecosystem. This is where strategy meets action. The heart of Flare's ecosystem is the FLR token, which powers every smart contract, every Oracle update, and every transaction on the network. Without FLR, none of this works. That means if you want to participate in staking, yield farming, or liquidity provisioning, understanding FLR is critical. One of the most exciting developments is Flare staking through programs like STF Flare. When you stake FLR, you're contributing to the network's security while earning passive income. For example, you can stake 1,000 FLR and earn an APY of over 13% depending on network conditions. Unlike traditional savings accounts or even many crypto yield platforms, this staking is fully decentralized and trustless. Your assets remain secure and you benefit from multiple yield streams as the network grows. But the real leverage comes when you combine staking with FXRP. By converting your XRP into FXRP, you can unlock programmable liquidity. This allows participation in lending, borrowing, and decentralized liquidity pools. You're not just holding XRP, you're putting it to work in ways that generate returns while also supporting the growth of the ecosystem. Over time, as more XRP enters FXRP, liquidity deepens, fees increase, and yield opportunities become even more attractive. Flare's design also allows for cross-chain interoperability thanks to partnerships like Axelar. That means your assets can interact with multiple DeFi platforms, creating even more use cases and revenue streams. Traditional DeFi platforms often require you to trust custodial services or centralized bridges, which introduces risk. Flare solves this problem with fully on-chain, over-collateralized F assets, giving holders security and flexibility. Another key point is Flare's Smart Accounts feature. Soon, you will be able to use your XRP address to execute transactions directly on Flare. No new wallets, no complicated setups, just a seamless way to manage and grow your holdings. This integration makes it easier for everyday holders to access DeFi opportunities while keeping their assets secure. It's simple, fast, and reduces friction between XRP and Flare ecosystems. Now let's consider the broader strategy. If you're a long-term XRP holder, activating your assets now in FXRP and staking FLR positions you to benefit from both short-term yields and long-term adoption trends. TVL is growing, wallet numbers are rising, and transaction volumes are surging. Stablecoin activity has already seen exponential growth, showing real utility in action. For investors who understand this, the upside isn't just price appreciation, it's yield on top of a fundamentally stronger ecosystem. Flare also provides a pathway for traditional investors to earn yield without needing to trade or take on unnecessary risk. Programs like AMM fees, staking rewards, and protocol revenue create multiple income streams. By combining these strategies, an XRP holder can generate passive income that compounds over time. And remember, this is all happening before the broader market fully notices, giving early adopters a strategic advantage. Finally, the long-term vision. Flare is building an ecosystem that turns XRP into a programmable, income-generating asset while maintaining security and decentralization. The F asset system will expand beyond XRP to include Bitcoin, Doge, and other assets. As adoption grows, liquidity increases, and yield opportunities expand, the ecosystem becomes more resilient. XRP holders who activate their assets now are effectively positioning themselves for a future where utility, yield, and network growth reinforce each other. To summarize, the combination of FXRP, FLR staking, smart accounts, and decentralized infrastructure makes this one of the most promising developments for XRP holders in years. This isn't speculation, it's structural growth with measurable metrics. By participating early, learning how the ecosystem works, and using it to earn passive income, you're not just holding crypto, you're leveraging it to work for you. In conclusion, the Flare ecosystem is not just an extension of XRP, it's a whole new engine of opportunity. From 100 million FXRP minted to multi-chain interoperability, trustless infrastructure, and real yield opportunities, the foundations are being laid right now. The future belongs to holders who understand utility, embrace DeFi activation, and position themselves strategically. This is why now, more than ever, staying informed and taking action matters.